Our fellow citizens are being attacked for no reason. And we need to stand up for our federal workforce because they keep this country running.
That's National Treasury Employees Union President Doreen Greenwald on the Power at Work podcast, talking about the attack on the rights of federal workers by the Trump administration and NTEU's strategies in defending its members.
I have no job right now, but you know what? I feel like a weight's been lifted off me because I'm not going to that damn place anymore. You know, cause it was just too much finally.
Tesla Fremont Assembly worker Branton Philipps, after working for years at the plant, which has over 20,000 workers, he talked with Work Week Radio about why he quit in protest this week after opposing the union-busting, racism, and health and safety dangers at the plant caused by owner Elon Musk.
It's had a lot of heat days, and well-deserved as well. People getting to, everyone's suddenly a meteorologist, and a lot of people are pretty excited once it gets to 35.
That's 35 degrees centigrade, which is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. On Fire Up Plumbers from Melbourne, Australia, the fellas talk about summertime.
Oh my goodness, they threw everything at A. Philip Randolph. To the point, he was broke. He went broke trying to organize, and they attacked his wife's business, but he never gave up. He never gave up on the movement.
Rasean Clayton, an AFSCME member who heads up the A. Philip Randolph Institute Arizona chapter, talking about the work of the Institute and other issues in labor on words and work.
The current sort of way in which we talk about everything in terms of vibes is sort of like us pre-packaging ourselves as data subjects and like presenting ourselves in ways that we know algorithms want to interpret us.
And in a very special live art and labor show, OK talks with Liz Pelly about the state of DIY and our extractive relationship with big tech. I'm Chris Garlock, and that's all coming up on this week's edition of the Labor Radio Podcast Weekly. Here's the show.
Hello, powerful people, and welcome back to Power at Work. My name is Seth Harris, and I'm a senior fellow at the Burns Center for Social Change. Welcome to this Power at Work blogcast. This is the 6th episode in our series, What Could Happen Under Trump? Today, I will talk with Doreen Greenwald, who is the president of the National Treasury Employees Union, one of the largest unions of federal employees in our country. We'll discuss President Trump's all-out assault on federal workers and the American people who are served faithfully by those workers. President Greenwald, welcome back to Power at Work, and I say from the bottom of my heart, I wish it could be under better circumstances.
Seth, thank you for the invite. These are really trying times, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
So let me start at a high level. What do you think President Trump is trying to accomplish? Why is he attacking federal employees? Why is he damaging and undermining the federal government that he leads?
Well, first of all, I think he does not have a good understanding of what the federal government does. You know, what we've seen these last several weeks has just been an outright attack on all federal employees. It's been an attack against every federal agency. It is an attack on the services that they provide to the American people. I've never seen this. I was a federal employee for over 35 years. The government provides incredible services. Things like you want to have your food inspected. You want to make sure your water is safe. You want to make sure your national parks are cared for. We just saw this week, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, an agency designed to protect consumers who fight for the little guy, who protect veterans from schemes and elderly from getting having their money taken from them out of people who have bad ideas and are trying to rip them off. That agency alone in little over a decade has got over $20 billion for the American people. And this administration is working to destroy them and shut them down. This is not about efficiency. I've heard that. I mean, everybody wants to make sure that their government operates effectively and efficiently for the American people. I'm a taxpayer. I don't want to spend more on taxes than I need to. But that is the way you approach it. You audit, you go through these records, you determine what is wasteful, and you change it. And you start by asking the people who do the work where those areas are.
Russell Vaught, who's now the director of the Office of Management and Budget, actually was quoted as saying that he wanted to traumatize federal employees. That was part of the point of Project 2025, which he helped to lead, the right-wing agenda that President Trump is now implementing almost word for word. It was to hurt federal employees. So given that, and given what you described going on in the government right now, I'm eager to know, what is the mood among your members? What is the mood among your local leaders?
Let me make a couple points about what you just said. First of all, anybody who would say that their intention is to traumatize federal employees, what does that say about that individual? As I said before, federal employees take an oath to the Constitution. They care about the services they deliver for the American people. When that letter went out asking them to resign, I read in the news they were hoping 5 to 10% of people would jump at the chance. They barely got 2% that jumped at the chance, because people don't want to leave because they understand how important the work they do is for this country. You also see things where people are really just desperate to understand why they have been vilified in this way. These are your family, your friends. Everybody knows a federal employee. They're good people. They care about the American people. They're proud to serve the American people. Our fellow citizens are being attacked for no reason. And we need to stand up for our federal workforce because they keep this country running. Many people don't see a federal employee because things just run smoothly. They don't understand the amount of federal employees it takes to make sure those things happen. And so I really urge people to pay attention to what's going on here. This is not a Washington, D.C. moment. This is about our country and where we want to be going forward.
Thanks very much for watching this broadcast. We will see you on Power at Work very soon.
This is Steve Zeltzer with Workweek. I'm talking with Branton Philipps. He was a worker at the Tesla plant in Fremont, California. And last month, Branton, you did resign from that company, Elon Musk company. You've been working there for many years. What led you to resign from Tesla Fremont plant?
A number of things, actually. Again, if you follow what I've done or try to do at the Tesla plant, was try to get a union in there. We try to really work for the workers. It was fine a long time ago when you're fighting just one obstacle, but literally in the last year, and this is political, but in the last year I've watched literally this uncensored maniac, that's Elon Musk, just basically start to ruin America. I just can't see it any easier than that. And it's one thing to go in every single day and work for an ideology that you thought was really good, and maybe it's still good, with the whole solar, with everything to do with transitioning to sustainable energy. But at the same time, you're looking at a CEO of a company that's just literally rooting America into the ground right now, running it completely into the ground. It's just disgusting. This is not the America that I want. And finally, when I went in there, I didn't see Tesla. I saw Trump. It's just as simple as that. And I had a choice, and so I made that choice. Morally, ethically, I can't work for them.
And you were trying to organize the UAW. How did he treat the UAW? I know that 700 workers were fired by him. Did he shut down that organizing effort?
Oh, of course. And completely, as far as I'm concerned, completely illegally. From the very jump, they did everything wrong.
What happened when that was taking place?
Oh, they literally, I call it victimize the workers. Anybody with a shirt on, which was our right to do back then, to represent what we wanted in that company, for the betterment of the workers. Anybody wearing a shirt that represented the UAW, they were literally not only literally found organized blackball. That was it. They were fired. They were just taken out. And all of them supposedly had, I guess it was their performance wasn't up to snuff. So everybody learned to every 6 months grab your performance reviews, print them out. That way you have them right there. Because the moment they let you go, you can't go in and actually say anything about how your performance was. And these were a lot of good workers. And of course, a lot of them were back in the newbie days too. Which, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just killing me right now. It really does. It just disgusts me. I have no job right now, but you know what? I feel like a weight's been lifted off me because I'm not going to that damn place anymore. Because it was just too much finally.
And black workers at that plant have said it's like working at a plantation. What does that mean? And how were black workers treated at that plant?
Very poorly. It's part of the problem, and this is, I think a lot of it stems from this. The young kids these days will use the N-word just repeatedly as a positive thing and just normal talk. A lot of older people don't like that, black and white. My stepson used to use it all the time. That kind of grated on me because it kind of bothered me. I'm old school white. That was never a good word until a lot of blacks said it's a terrible, terrible word. But I didn't understand in the very beginning, and they thought it was funny. And it was funny as they would tell the older gentlemen those kind of words. And it was meant as a joke to be comical. This is not funny. And again, we never had any kind of sensitivity training ever in there. For the first 3 or 4 years, it was just rampant. People were looking at ladies up and down, just like there's a club scene inside there. It was wrong. And young kids had to be taught how to be respectful to other workers and how to act around other workers. That was never done. Not done until just lately. I knew the one guy in the elevator, he kept saying, please don't say the N-word around me. I come from the South, and it's just not a good word. And the kids were laughing at him, and it just killed him, and they'll go back to the plantation. It's like, oh, my God. And it's just they don't understand the sensitivity was never there.
Okay, well, thank you, Branton, and the struggle will continue. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it will. Okay, thank you, Steve.
Good morning and welcome to the Fire Up Show, proudly presented to you by the Plumbers Union. I'm Rusty. We've got a full crew in here and we've got a special guest. The hair's done, all slicked back, looking black. I don't reckon he dyes it. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Right?
Mate, it's all natural.
Natural.
Good morning, Rusty. So grey, John.
Yeah. No, going all right, fellas. How are you, Rusty? All good?
Yeah, look at my hair. I look like Paddy McCrudden. It's shit ass. All I need to do now is go to Thailand.
Exactly right.
Anyway, I'll get straight into it. Obviously, straight left to right. Herx, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, mate. Good morning, listeners. Actually, we've lost our listener. He's here today.
You've lost one listener today.
Oh, don't worry. There's one listener out there that does like to listen to us.
G'day, guys. It's good to have the support.
Yeah, bloody oath. I don't mind. I don't want to get. I don't want to get sued, but anyway, right? I do like. They had the Grammys or whatever, and obviously you saw what's her name, Bianca
Story or whatever.
Yeah, she was pretty much wearing nothing. You know what I mean? And there was other celebrities there as well. Pamela Anderson looked pretty well and pretty nice as well. Yep. My wife's going to kill me for that. But anyway, I promised her I wouldn't say anything.
That's all right. G'day, Sandra. I know you're listening.
Yeah, mate, trust me, she is. And there'll be toothpicks in my eyes when I get home. Anyway, we didn't usually do what we usually do. Pickles as well. How we going, buddy?
Yeah, good, Russ. We've actually got the ultimate professional in you here this morning, John. So I think half our content of hanging shit on you's not going to be there, but it's really good to have you in, mate. It's
got plenty of ammunition.
Good that one of us is organised for the day. So yeah, going well, Russ. It's really started to fire up for the year.
Yep.
I think the first couple of weeks back were sort of just easing into it, but now everyone's back on site. Needless to say, the members have been pretty happy the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of heat days, and well deserved as well. People everyone's suddenly a meteorologist, and a lot of people are pretty excited once it gets to 35.
Double 196 doesn't work anymore.
Double
196.
I actually do remember
that
calling
was my
that
job as an
out.
apprentice.
Back
call
in
up
the
day.
Everyone was on that, weren't they?
Yeah, now it's just the power of your phone, hey. So it's been a good couple of weeks, and as John was saying, I think the three of you have got obviously a vast majority of the work, especially with these data centres coming through. It's been really, really hectic. So looking forward to 2025.
Well, it's been a great summer, hasn't it?
It's been a good summer.
Warm.
Nice and warm, man.
How are the tomatoes,
Very
John?
nice and warm.
The tomatoes not too good,
Yeah.
too good this year. So anyway,
Burning
someone's
le-
jinxed me. Someone's put the
burning
moles on me.
leaves, you reckon? Leaves are burning, or?
Nah, I don't know, mate. I just don't. They're no good. No good.
Too hot.
Too hot.
Too hot.
Too-
Mine.
What tomatoes
I
are we
went
talking
away
about
for a
anyway?
weekend. I went away for a weekend. Come back and the mother-in-law had fed the cat, but didn't water the garden, so I lost all mine.
Oh.
About week one of the school holidays. So.
We're now suddenly gardening Australia.
Yeah. Not Warwickburg, it's Donburg.
Yeah, it's now the garden show, but anyway, we won't go there.
Vasili's coming in next week.
Great to have you, mate.
Good
Thanks,
for
fellas.
coming,
Good to
Johnny.
be here.
And cheerio, boys. Lovely. Awesome.
Hello, this is Ted Brzelski. It's another episode of Words and Work.
All right, we've got Rasean Clayton here, as member of AFSCME Local 2960 from up in the Phoenix area. He also is the president of the A. Philip Randolph Institute. First of all, what kind of work as a, you told me you were AFSCME, and what kind of work did you actually do as a union member?
The way I got into the union was through the AT&T call center. Center was my first job. Well, not my first job, but it was my first union job. So upon getting hired, the same day you get hired and do your orientation, the union come and ask you to sign your membership card. I immediately signed my card. But after I did my 90 days, I immediately got active. Mostly doing political work for CWA 7050. Then upon the work I've been doing, I was elected to area vice president. Then eventually I was elected to executive vice president of that local, and continue doing a lot of activist work, political work, a lot of organizing for the local and for the district. And then AFL-CIO gave me an opportunity to be an organizing specialist for the state, mostly for Maricopa. I have a counterpart in Tucson, Ryan Kelly. But for here in Maricopa, what I do is support all unions on their organizing efforts, whether it be internal organizing or external organizing. And that's what I'm currently doing, as well as the APRI.
Yeah. So how did you go from just being an active union member to being part of APRI?
I met was the Arizona AFL-CIO director Fred Yamashita and Joe Diggs, the previous president. We had a conversation in a parking lot, and it's always about creating opportunity for young union members, and they took they presented opportunity to me. I learned more about it on my own. A. Philip Randolph. I'm guilty as one of the ones who did not know who he was at first, but after I did my research and I watched the movie 10,000 Men Named George, and then I implemented it in my political program that I was running with CWA. So we watched that movie every year because it just showed the power of the vote, the power of the people, having power with opposed to having power over. So it was really profound for me, and I just want to spread that message to all union people, all union members, because it's important. It's embodiment everything we work hard for.
You mentioned 10,000 Black Men Named George, and actually talk a little bit about that movie.
Well, 10,000 Men Named George. I mean, that movie, it embodies in with almost 2 hours, show you the whole process of to be recognized as a union and the fight that you have to have, and the determination. Oh my goodness, they threw everything at A. Philip Randolph. I mean, to the point he was broke. He went broke trying to organize, and they attacked his wife's business. I think she was a beautician. They called her a communist, and they had people who looked just like him attack him, but he never gave up. He never gave up on the movement, even when you had people inside the movement who was feeding information back to management. And you have that in today's union. Like when you organize, you have people who favor management and will act like they're for the cause and tell all your business to management, and to make the efforts harder for you. It wasn't till the white conductors stuff realized that if the black pullman porters take a step forward, that helps them essentially get a new bargaining deal for themselves. And you can go back to meat packers and all stuff. Like, it takes one unit, one group of people to take a step forward, and then you push forward another group of people too as well. And then people have to realize we all in this together, and that resonates today. People have to realize we're in this together. If we want to move forward, we want to get labor moving forward, you want working people, you want to bring back the middle class, we have to work together to get that done.
Well, hey, thank you.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me. It was fun. I love these.
Podcasting live from Ridgewood, New York, it's Art and Labor Live. Tonight's guest is intrepid reporter Liz Pelly, here to discuss her new book, Mood Machine, the rise of Spotify and the cost of the perfect playlist. Now, put your hands together to welcome Liz Pelly and our hosts, OK Fox and Marshall Moran.
So you ground the book with your experience in DIY, a scene that helps participants of it demystify the process of booking and playing shows. You cite Anoni, one of the greatest of all time, calling these smaller music economies an ecology, terminology you later ran with in the book. Is DIY's current embeddedness to the internet weakening those ecologies, and is a balance possible?
So this book came out last month. I started working on it in 2022, but it's sort of building on reporting on the streaming economy and the impacts of platform capitalism on music that I started doing in 2016. And as I in the first couple paragraphs of the book, I describe how when I first started working on my first article about Spotify, it was a time where I was working at a DIY music venue, and I was, bartending there and booking shows there and surrounded by musicians every night, and kind of taking in a lot of people sharing their own lived experiences of the ways that they felt that music was being affected by platform monopolies. And I mean, maybe not using that language, just more people being like, Spotify sucks. And I'm like, people are talking about the impact of platform monopolies on creative labor.
Yeah, so you've been on this for a long time, and the Silent Barn ecosystem and similar ones like it that were all kind of federated together, cultivated stars like Mitski, that came from our labor. We did that. We did that. I booked Mitski in undergrad. You booked Mitski at Silent Barn. That shit gets lost in the mythologies of these big brands that take over from the grassroots groundwork that happens to make them these big money machines.
In these conversations, I do feel like I tend to sort of have a lot of focus on the labor of recorded music. Something that gets talked about a lot is there's so much labor that goes into making recorded music, like the songwriters, producers, engineers, mixing, mastering, and how in the current digital music landscape, so much of that work just gets invisibilized, whether because it's not credited or because you have people like Daniel Ek going in the media and saying that the cost of making content is zero now. But I think you're right too, that even beyond recorded music, when you have a creative economy that just kind of imposes the celebrity culture of winners and losers onto even independent music, you do also get a lot of work that goes into, DIY and independent music scenes also being invisibilized in these other ways too. I'm thinking about, I wrote an article right around when Silent Barn closed, where I was thinking about
Look that up, it's very good. I'll post that in the show notes.
It was for Logic, and it was this article that was sort of about what it meant for DIY spaces to become increasingly reliant on at the time I was talking about Facebook, but now I think I would just apply it more to Meta or Instagram. And I was thinking a lot about how it's kind of interesting. There's a chapter in the book where I'm talking about this concept of auto surveillance, or when the state doesn't have to surveil you because you've learned to surveil yourself, and like you've kind of already learned to sort of like, I quote this amazing writer and academic named Robin James, who talks about how like the current sort of way in which we talk about everything in terms of vibes is sort of like us pre-packaging ourselves as data subjects and like presenting ourselves in ways that we know algorithms want to interpret us. And in some ways, like I think around the end of Silent Barn, I was sort of thinking about the ways in which all of the platforms that we had started using both for internal communications and to promote our own events had sort of started to kind of like impose their own logics onto both like the ways in which we were communicating with each other and also the ways in which we, even DIY spaces were sort of like interfacing with the public and imposing kind of like a kind of like normalized presentation. I don't know.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, that's a wrap for this week's edition of the Labor Radio Podcast Weekly, a roundup of some of the programs aired over the past week on more than 200 labor radio and podcast shows. They're all part of the Labor Radio Podcast Network, shows that focus on working people's issues and concerns. We've got links to all the network shows at laborradionetwork.org. You can also find them. Use the hashtag LaborRadioPod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And hey, don't forget to let us know what you think of this show. Drop us a note, info@laborradionetwork.org. You can be part of the network. You don't even need a microphone. Labor Radio Podcast Network t-shirts are available. They're union made. You'll find them in all sizes and 2 colors at laborradionetwork.org. This podcast is recorded under a SAG-AFTRA collective bargaining agreement. The Labor Radio Podcast Weekly, edited this week by Captain Swing. I produce the show, and our social media guru, always and forever, is Mr. Harold Phillips. For the Labor Radio Podcast Weekly, this has been Chris Garlock. Stay active and stay tuned to your local Labor Radio Podcast show. We will see you next week.